You gonna play?
That's the plan. That's the
That's the
plan.
plan.
Yes, sir.
We'll have 3-3 back, so, Aaron is Aaron. He's been making plays, so it'll be exciting.
So, with the final injury report released before Thursday Night Football against the Detroit Lions, everybody's expecting at this point that Aaron Jones and Christian Watson are going to be back for the Packers offense in this game. I mean, you heard the players either say it or other players say it about them that these guys are intending to play in this game. And of course, Matt LaFleur had this to say about it.
Watson made it seem like things were. He said the plan was that he's going to play, is what he said. I'm just going to let you. What do you think of Watson's status?
I want his mindset for it, but until we get cleared medically, then it's got to go through the process. I would say before anything's for certain. But yeah, we'd love to have him out there, and if he gets cleared, then he'll be able to go.
Naturally he had to kind of walk it back a little bit. You don't want to give the enemy or the opposition that much of a lead time to really prepare for them. Like, they should be preparing for him anyway. That's probably like a moot point, but that's just typical, business-like behavior by Matt LaFleur to kind of walk that back. Not that he said anything wrong. Yes, they do need to be medically cleared, which in Green Bay isn't always just, good to go. It's often, let's take things slow, make sure that we're going to keep things on the up and up for the rest of the year rather than risking re-injury for one game, as Matt LaFleur said as well. It's hard not to get excited about that. I mean, if you're excited about Christian Watson and Aaron Jones being back, go down and hit like on the video. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss an upload after that. But one thing that I thought was really interesting about this injury report for both teams is just how eerily similar they are. So almost down to the number of players and the positions that are on the report. So let's get into it a bit. So the Packers are going to be without David Bakhtiari, just out. We don't have any suspense about that one going forward. He won't play. Elton Jenkins, we wouldn't have expected to play either. Devondre Campbell is going to miss some time with that ankle again. And then Zane Anderson, who hasn't suited up for the Packers yet since they claimed him off of waivers. On the Lions, they're going to be missing right tackle Matt Nelson, who's actually been filling in for another guy who's questionable this week in Taylor Decker. And they're also going to be missing Halapulavati Vaitai, their starting guard, and fullback Jason Kambinda. Questionable. There's still similarities here as well. So we've got obviously Aaron Jones, Christian Watson, Zach Tom, Jair Alexander, and Carrington Valentine for the Packers. The Lions have running back David Montgomery, offensive tackle Taylor Decker, as I mentioned earlier, offensive guard Jonah Jackson, cornerback Kirby Joseph, and cornerback Emmanuel Mosley. So you're looking at both teams being pretty thin up front, and not just like tackle or guard. It's literally both positions where they are a bit short on bodies, and they're kind of going towards their depth, which luckily the Packers have some quality depth, but God forbid something happens to either Josh Nyman or Rasheed Walker out there at tackle, and then we're down to Caleb Jones coming in, and we're really got nowhere to go past that at this point because Luke Tenuta isn't healthy enough yet. And on the interior, our depth is hurting a bit too, because if Zach Tom, who is questionable, can't go, he's one of those guys that has that versatility to kick inside to pick up the pieces a bit there. So we're then left with, Newman, who's been starting, and then second-year guard Sean Ryan, who we haven't really seen yet, but I expect at some point here, if Jenkins continues to miss time, he will get some reps either this week or maybe next week, since it is a bit of a short week for him to try to step in there. But just getting really thin on the offensive lines for both of these teams. Then we also see the secondary out there with multiple guys missing action there in Kirby Joseph and Emmanuel Mosley for the Lions. Mosley, who hasn't played yet this year, and then for us, Carrington Valentine, and more importantly, Jair Alexander, who is going to be a huge loss in this game because of the fact that he is your preferred coverage corner for a guy like Amon-Ra St. Brown. The rest of this defensive backfield is not going to hold up against him as well as he will. And that's going to be painful. And not only that, but if both of those guys miss for the Packers, Valentine and Alexander, you're looking at a whole lot of Corey Ballantyne and then Keandre Thomas, who would almost certainly be called up from the practice squad for this game. So seriously impactful stuff on the Packers defensive backfield there. I mean, I would almost wonder if we're going to see Anthony Johnson Jr. be active for this game in that case too, as he does have some slot experience from college when he was a cornerback, but he hasn't really repped that so much with the Packers. So that would be more of an emergency kind of activation, I think, on the Packers' part. On that same note, though, on the secondary for the Lions, Kirby Joseph being out, starting safety for them, he might be sorely missed, especially because the Packers like to throw that ball deep down the field. And really, like you're looking at, if we just hit on a couple of those open opportunities that we've had for Musgrave, either down the seam or stretching that defense vertically, it could be a long day for the Lions defense there. And then we also saw the offensive backfield, the running backs with David Montgomery and then fullback Jason Kabinda for the Lions, who are both out. I'm almost more intimidated by the idea of Montgomery being out. He is questionable, but if he doesn't go, I think I'm more afraid of the fact that Gibbs is going to get the bulk of the carries there, because Montgomery is a solid back. He's kind of, reliable, plotting guy. He's going to get you your 3-4 yards in a cloud of dust kind of thing. But Jahmyr Gibbs has that breakaway kind of speed and ability that he could really torch our defense. And a guy like Devondre Campbell being out could be one of those spots that would hurt not only in run support there, but then also how the Lions like to attack underneath in coverage. They threw, I want to say it was like 80% of their passes were 10 yards and under in their game last week against the Falcons. So if we don't have Campbell to kind of shore up some of that intermediate zone area underneath and really break on those underneath passes and make a tackle on the spot, we could see a lot of yak for these receivers on the Lions. But that's really all we have for the injury report heading into Thursday. I'm going to try to be back tomorrow with a bit more of some of the key points of how the Packers can really get after this Lions team to get a victory on Thursday night.